pick up the phone. He said, Chuck, this is Peyton Manning. I just talked to Coach Fulmer. I'm going to Tennessee. My heart sunk to my stomach.
I really want to talk about Ed Orgeron with you.
Did I just get fired? Did I just get fired? I said, yeah, probably. I got snakes in my head. This dude may try to kill me in here. The next week, the postmaster at Memphis called me. He said, who are you? Man, the postmaster of the United States called me and just reamed my ass out.
Come on into another episode of Game Runs Deep presented by Club Country. I'm your host, Sudu Upadhyay, and today's guest is somebody who has spent many decades documenting and telling the stories of Ole Miss. Chuck Rounsaville founded the Ole Miss Spirit in 1982, transforming a startup print publication into one of the most influential voices in Ole Miss sports. Along the way, he developed relationships with generations of coaches, ADs, players, and fans while witnessing the evolution of sports media from newspapers and magazines to message boards, recruiting websites, and of course, today's digital landscape. Chuck, appreciate you for welcoming me back to Oxford and let me in.
Absolutely, man. You know, you and I go back a long way.
We do, man.
When you were in high school.
I know.
It's good to see you doing so well.
Well, thank you, Chuck. And, I'll tell you guys a funny Chuck story. So when I was in high school, I used to intern for Ole Miss Athletics, and back then I was a runner. So anytime that the guys that would shoot video needed, SD cards taken back into the office or waters, whatever, I was the kid that would bring it to them. Most of the time I was just kind of hanging out and watching Ole Miss football on the sidelines. And I was never afraid to celebrate down there, right? Because you had all the coaches and players and everybody down there. And one time I jumped in front of one of Chuck's shots after a touchdown, super happy. And he just got right up. He's a big old guy, got up and he was like, hey, don't do that shit. And I was just like, oh my God. And I knew who he was. I was like, oh no, it's over. They're going to fire me. And then he kind of calmed down. He's like, hey man, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm happy too. But don't do that. And I was like, yes, sir, I got you. And many years later, I got to work with him, and he was like the chillest guy in the world. So that's kind of our first interaction. You don't even remember that, probably.
I don't remember that because you weren't the only one that's jumped in front of me through the years.
I'm sure you've yelled at quite a few people throughout the years, Chuck.
And I'll tell you this, in 1988, when we played Alabama in their homecoming and we beat them, they didn't complete a pass the whole game, okay?
Yeah.
When we scored on, I think it was called a 46 trap, Sean Sykes scored to take the lead, and it looked like we were definitely going to win the game. I'm celebrating, I'm jumping up and down, and I'm on the sideline, and their SIDs sent two goons down there to get me and dragged me off of the sidelines, and I'm trying to fight them. But there's two of them.
Yeah.
But I get up in the press box, and A.D. Warner Alford said, Chuck, you can't be doing that. And I said, we're about to beat Alabama on their homecoming. I'll do whatever the hell I want to do. But anyway, I got thrown off the sideline.
That's Chuck in a nutshell. Didn't you have an incident like that at the Arkansas game? Was that?
That was kind of nutty there. It was the first year Nutt went back over to Arkansas, and we beat them. And a camera guy and me kind of bumped shoulders, and it got blown up more than it really was, but it wasn't too bad.
You would have blown him up. I know that.
I don't know. He was a big old boy.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay. If you say he's big, then he had to be
He's a big old boy.
But just off the rip, you mentioned Warner Alford, man. I want to talk about the beginnings, right? So your dad played at Ole Miss, is that right?
Yeah, back in the 30s.
In the 30s, right? Babe, is that right?
Yeah.
And so... But then you came to Ole Miss, but then what happened to you, man? You had too much fun? What happened?
Yeah, I drank my way right out of Ole Miss.
So you ended up at Delta State.
Yeah.
And so you go to Delta State, which is hilarious. The biggest Ole Miss fan I know went to Delta State. It's hilarious.
But it was good for me. I got to say that.
Yeah.
Ole Miss was a little too fast for me. I couldn't stay sober.
Yeah.
We've
all been there. We've all been there, Chuck. You were also around at a time there weren't phones and all kinds of stuff. So,
right.
Yeah, different times. But you ended up going to Delta State, and then kind of explain how you got into journalism, because you have a business degree.
Yeah.
So how'd you start? You started working at a little newspaper in Leland, Mississippi. Is that right?
No. I started as an assistant sports editor at the Delta Democrat-Times in Greenville.
Okay.
And my mentor, Mitch Arif, taught me the ropes for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And then the guy that owned the Leland Progress, Mac Gordon, called me and he said, man, I've been watching your work, and he said, I'm wanting to buy a hunting and fishing paper from this guy in Clarksdale, and I want you to come run it. And I said, I don't know much about hunting and fishing, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
And so I gave up my Delta Democrat Times high-paying job.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And went to Leland, and that's how Mac Gordon and I hooked up. That thing was a failure.
Yeah.
And one day a copy of the Tiger Rag from LSU came across my desk, and I just took it and I ran to Mac, and I said, Mac, we can do this for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
We can do this. Ironically, Warner Alford was Mac Gordon's Sunday school teacher when Mac was in high school in Macomb, Mississippi.
Sure.
So he had a relationship with Warner.
Yeah.
Well, we got a local lawyer there, Josh Bogan, Mac Gordon, and myself. We went up to Oxford, and we met with Warner. He said, all right, boys, but there's been one that's failed before y'all.
Those are the people that took everyone's money.
Yeah. And he said, I'm going to want you to put all your money in escrow for a while. Make sure you're going to be viable.
Sure.
And we said, fine, that's fine. And he said, what are y'all going to name it? And I said, man, I don't know. Man, I don't know, Josh, I don't know. He said, well, there's a campaign going on here at Ole Miss called the Spirit of Ole Miss. Said, why don't you call it the Ole Miss Spirit? I said, Warner, you got it.
So that was Warner Alford
at
the time decided that.
Yeah. I said, you got it, Warner. We'll call it the Ole Miss Spirit.
Right.
And it took off from there. We handed it out at the first game in 1982, Steve Sloan's last year.
Yeah.
How about that for timing?
I was going to say
Steve Sloan. They were 3-8 or 2-9 or whatever.
Right.
It's hard to sell something on a 2-9.
Right.
But
you did it.
But we went to every entrance into the university, neighbors from down in Leland, cousins, whoever, and just stuck them through windows, copies of the first issue through car windows as they were coming on campus. And by the end of the first week, we had 500 subscribers, and we were off and running.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Is that the business degree that came in there?
Kinda,
you think?
Kinda, but just more dumb luck than anything.
Yeah. So the Tiger Rag was what, like an LSU fan magazine, essentially?
It was a year old.
Okay.
And there was also the Cat's Paws out of Kentucky that was about a year old.
Right.
And then I'm not sure that we were the third, but we were in the top 5.
Yeah, and so I think I've read somewhere that you, while you saw the Tiger Rag, it was the Kentucky magazine that you liked their mold better because you thought, and I'm going to get to this, is you thought the Tiger magazine was a little too hard on the team, right? And then you thought the Kentucky one was more of where you wanted to go, which is, I want to highlight everything positive about Ole Miss football.
Well, my motto is optimistically objective.
Okay. I like
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, that's the line I've always tried to walk.
Sure.
I want to be objective, but I want to give Ole Miss the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And so you say that in the modern era of the Spirit, people always called you a sunshine pumper.
Yeah,
Chuck's
homer.
a sunshine pumper and he's a homer.
Yeah.
But you wore that like a badge, man.
Yeah.
You never cared.
No, I'm glad I'm a homer.
Yeah.
I'm proud I'm a homer.
So in those early days, because let's be real, fan sites are now the rage. Everybody creates fan-centric content. People really don't want the objective view unless they're fed up with a coach or team. Then they're ready for that.
Right.
For the most part, they want to hear their team's the best, and they're going to win it all, right?
Right.
Back in those days, though, I feel like it was still very much what I jokingly call Big J journalism. Everything had to be objective. You couldn't really show a side.
Yeah.
So you were kind of one of the early adopters of this like fan-centric media.
Yeah, sort of, but again, we're still going to tell the truth.
Sure.
It's like I told Warner when we at first meeting. I said, Warner, if we get beat 52-6, I can't cover that up.
Right.
And we were bad at that time.
Right.
And so he understood that.
Yeah.
And as long as we tried to be optimistic.
Yeah.
When the opportunity came.
Sure.
No
doubt about that. And because of the way it started, I mean, you had to get literally the blessing from the athletics director. You then almost became an extension of the university.
Yeah.
To a degree, right? And you never hid that. That's never something.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite thing about, after leaving Ole Miss and Oxford and going other places, I will see people tweet about the guy in the press box. There's a guy in the press box wearing an Ole Miss hat. There's a guy in the, and I know immediately. I said, that's Chuck.
Yeah,
that's Chuck, and he's happy to be that guy.
That's right. That's right.
So
I'm an Ole Miss fan. My father played football here.
Right.
You know, I was raised a Rebel.
Right.
You know, the only games I ever went to when I was little, before my father passed away, was Ole Miss games.
Sure.
You know.
And that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But you never tried to be like, no, I'm an objective journalist. You were more like, no, I'm a fan. I'm gonna tell it to you straight, but I'm still a fan.
That's right.
And so
fans can be straight talkers.
Absolutely.
You know.
No doubt about it.
You know.
And so with that, so how did that affect, like, as far as like the access you were getting and stuff like that? I mean, I'm sure that was great because you were basically telling the athletics department, like, hey, there's something good y'all want out there. Like, we're willing to put that out there.
Yeah. Well, they had to learn.
Yeah.
You know, they had to learn to trust us.
Yeah.
And that we weren't going to scalp them.
Yeah.
That, you know, again, they knew that if they got beat 52-6,
Yeah.
it wasn't going to be pretty.
Sure.
But we weren't going to hound on it, you know.
Right.
And, you know, I think the biggest thing was when we hired Billy Brewer, the second year of the Ole Miss Spirit.
Sure.
He really embraced the Ole Miss Spirit.
Yeah.
Because he realized that we were trying to build a fan base and help him and bring people to the stadium and, you know, let's get this thing rolling. And, you know, he understood that. He would go to alumni meetings and say, y'all want to know about the team? You need to take the Ole Miss Spirit, you know, and we grew. We grew up to like 3,500 in the second year.
Sure.
And so we were off and running, and thank goodness for Billy Brewer. Thank goodness for Warner Alford.
Yeah. I mean, those guys, it really seems like helped. And you mentioned, I mean, 3,500, and especially back in the 80s.
Yeah.
To 3,500 people subscribing to this thing that just started. I mean, that's pretty incredible. You know, I have a funny story. This would have been, I don't know if it would have been in the 80s, maybe late 80s, early 90s, but a good buddy of mine's dad was in the Navy. He told me the story a year ago, I think one of the games I was visiting for. You came up, and he's like, great guy, off the rip. I don't know if he's ever met you in person.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I was like, oh, really, man? Yeah, like, love Chuck. I worked for him. He's great. He's like, yeah, man, when I was in the Navy, we were stationed somewhere on the West Coast, San Diego something.
Yeah.
They were on a naval base. They were ready to go out to sea, and their Spirit subscription hadn't come in yet. Like, their magazine hadn't come in.
Oh, wow.
So they're all like, where, you know, a bunch of Ole Miss guys, like, where's the magazine? Want to see the magazine, whatever. And apparently right before they left, they called you, or they called whatever number was on there.
Yeah.
And they were like, this really cool guy. And it's like, hey, man. And like, this had to be like middle of the night because they're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So you picked up, hey, guys. What's up? I was like, hey, you know, we're going out to sea. We're with the Navy, blah, blah, blah. We're whatever. And he was like, the other guy in the end was Chuck Rounsaville. Couldn't have been nicer. Was like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it, buddy. We'll get that thing shipped out to y'all, no problem. And he just remembers that story of getting that magazine on the ship.
That's great.
And being able to read that
That's
with all his
a
Ole
great
Miss
story.
friends. Yeah, man. So
I'll tell you another one.
Yeah.
Remember, Brad Dye was the lieutenant governor of Mississippi for years and years and years.
Yeah.
One morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I think Brad had a couple of nips.
Okay.
And the next day was signing day.
Yeah.
He had a real deep voice. Chuck, this Brad Dye. I said, holy mackerel, the lieutenant governor. And I'm half asleep. And I said, who in the hell? And I said, are you sure? And he said, yeah, the Brad Dye. He said, we're going to sign that running back out of Memphis in the morning. And I said, I think so, Lieutenant Governor. Well, I think we are. About 3 days later, we did sign him. About 3 days later, I got a letter and a check for $100 from Brad. I said, I'm so sorry I woke you up. he said, I'd had a couple of toddies, and I wanted to know about that running back.
Yeah. So were you just answering calls night and day? You didn't care? Like,
no, I didn't care. We had trouble with the post office.
Okay.
Getting it delivered in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
And Thad Cochran was, and guy on the coast. Anyway, they were senior senators.
Okay.
I called them. They took the Spirit.
Yeah.
And they were having trouble getting it too in Washington.
Yeah.
So I called Thad and I said, Thad, I need help with the post office.
Yeah.
He said, how high up do you want me to start kicking ass? And I said, man, with the Postmaster General. So the next week, the Postmaster at Memphis, it had to go through Memphis.
Right.
Called me and he said, who are you? whoa, what in the world? He said, man, the postmaster of the United States called me and just reamed my ass out. He said, we're going to get the Ole Miss Spirits delivered from now on.
Before we jump back into the show, I got to tell you about our presenting partner, Club Country. Former Sanford and Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Devlin Doug Hodges started Club Country as an apparel brand that could keep up with his lifestyle. Something that looked great on the course, performed in the outdoors, and was comfortable enough to wear anywhere. So if you're the kind of person that loves college football Saturdays, early mornings in the duck blind, afternoons on the golf course, and just weekends spent outside, Club Country is for you. I'm currently rocking the Clubhouse hat and the course green hoodie. I mean, y'all, this hoodie, moisture-wicking material. It fits perfectly on the body. It is lightweight, but it's super cozy. So I know in the fall it's going to be great. Early, spring on the golf course it's going to be great. And this hat, I mean, what can I say? Beautiful color. They got some great designs. So visit clubcountrygolf.com and stock up with apparel made by sportsmen for sportsmen. Now back to the show. This is what the kids these days call having motion. Yeah. And that was you back in whenever this was, what, the 90s or 2000s? That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
You had a U.S. senator go to the Postmaster General
of the United States
to then yell at the Postmaster General of Memphis. That's incredible, man. Yeah. That's incredible. It just shows you. But, that thing grew, man. And I mean, I think it very soon, you were like international, right? You had people all over the world.
All over the world.
That's incredible. So at what point did you guys see the need for, okay, the magazine is booming, but the internet is also booming now. We need to put this on the internet. When did that come to be?
Well, that was in 1997.
Yeah.
And actually I was late getting to the party on that. Real stubborn. But a fella named Andy Strickland had a message board already going.
Yeah.
He called it the Ole Miss Vent.
Okay.
And he was the vent master.
Okay.
And he came by our office. He got to know Jeff Robertson, who at that time was working with me.
Yeah.
And he said, Jeff, y'all need to get in on the internet. And he said, why don't you join in with me on this message board? And I said, that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we got started in the internet.
Man.
Joining up with Andy on the message board, and he was very big part of us getting indoctrinated into the internet.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what carries these fan sites to this day is the message boards. It's that community of people, obviously.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's toxic. Sometimes it's like a family vibe. I guess maybe that is a family, right? It can get toxic sometimes. But so then you get into that world. But then, of course, you have the normal message boards. You have, the covering the team as a whole. But then recruiting comes into the fold. Now tell me about that, because that really ends up being the driver for these sites.
There's no question. Recruiting's number one.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
That how important it was until we got on the internet. Now,
when the lieutenant governor called you about the recruit, you didn't think,
well, we covered it.
Right.
We had a back page by Glenn Waddle, who's the PA guy.
The voice,
Yeah, Glenn used to do a recruiting column for us every week.
Yeah.
And it was very popular. But, I'm slow to the dance sometimes, Sudu. And
that's fine.
I was just a little slow to the dance.
As long as you can get there,
Yeah. And so this kid kept calling me during recruiting.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, what about this tackle at Meridian? What about this guard? I said, man, I don't know about this damn guard in Boonville. And he said, so I didn't pay attention to it for a while.
Yeah.
This was in the probably early 90s, I would guess.
Okay.
Well, the kid ended up going to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And he would hound me. And finally I said, man, why don't you just come to work for me and cover recruiting?
Yeah.
It's Yancey Porter.
Yancey Porter.
He covered recruiting for 25 years.
Man, that's, what's so funny about that? Because I think I was Ben's equivalent to Yancey. Because I listen to Ben's podcast, Ben Garrett, of course, who worked for you and still obviously runs the Spirit, but I would listen to his podcast. I'd always be in his DMs. I'd always, and in his eyes, he's like, who's this kid with the funny name that's always trying to, he's in my DMs. He's asking me questions. And that's how I became introduced to you was when I got to Ole Miss, Ben was like, all right, dude, you've been bothering me long enough. Just come. I'll talk to Chuck. Come work for me. We want to do video. Yancey was your recruiting guy. I ended up being your video guy. So the parallel there is crazy.
It is. But, let me tell you something. When I heard that you won National Journalism student of the year at Oxford High. I said, Ben, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? This is a kid that wants to be in journalism.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were a no-brainer, man.
I appreciate it, man. Well, you know, it all comes back to the love for Ole Miss, though. You know, people always ask me, they go, why journalism? I go, well, I wanted to be Eli Manning. Just like every other kid in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
We wanted to be Eli Manning. If you grew up in Mississippi, you probably wanted to be Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Learned very quickly that I was not going to be Eli Manning. So the next best thing was, okay, well, if I can't play it, I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I've never met Eli, but if I do, I got to thank him. I'd be like, dude, you're the reason I got into media.
Yeah.
It was because I wanted to be you, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really comes down to the love for Ole Miss.
That's a good story.
Yeah, man.
Good story.
It's remarkable. And
I wanted to be Archie.
See, look at that. The Mannings, man. The Mannings. No, that's truly remarkable. So you guys kind of bust into that front. Eventually, I think you realized that, I think you told me this, that the website part of it it got a little too complicated, right? So then you partnered with Scout.com, which eventually became 24/7 Sports, and now it's On 3.
Yeah.
But when we kind of talk about what it is now, it's a part of this big, On 3, who's now sponsored by Polymarket, you know, this massive thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of just started with you just deciding, hey, I love Ole Miss, and I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it got to a point where the early part of the internet, we couldn't keep up with the technology.
Yeah.
In-house.
Sure.
We couldn't keep up with our subscriber base in-house. It was, we were doing all that and didn't have time to cover the Rebels.
Yeah.
So I said, man, we got to get somebody to do the technology, take care of our subscriber base, you know, renewals, sending out all that, handling the money, you know, and we'd just pay them. And it was Scout.
Yeah.
Scout did a good job.
Yeah.
They did a good job for us.
And then it just obviously continued.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the website as a whole and the magazine and kind of how it became what it became. But there's so many stories within that journey for you, Chuck.
Man.
I mean, you think of all the ADs and the head coaches and players and recruiting battles that you witness. That's kind of really what I want to get into. One story that has always stuck with me, you've told me this, Jeff Robertson has told me this, was the Ole Miss Spirit was such an extension. It was like the university's kind of independent media arm to a degree, that when they decided to move away from Colonel Reb, they had two mascot options, right? It was like Rebel Bruiser, and I can't remember, what the other one was. Mr. Clean-looking guy, I believe. And I remember, whether you or Jeff, somebody told me that someone in the AD's office brought you guys in once and showed you the two options for the mascots and said to pick.
Yeah.
And not like pick your favorite, like pick for the university.
Yeah.
Tell me about that story, because that's wild. That you were that entrenched, not only entrenched, but that trusted to know the pulse of Ole Miss, what the fan base would want, that they just said, let these two dudes decide what the next mascot is going to be.
Yeah, and basically, we told them we didn't like any of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then they went with, what was first, the shark?
Well,
and
no,
the bear?
I think back that would have been when they just decided we just won't have an on-field mascot.
Yeah.
But just take me back to that moment in that room when you're in there, and I'm assuming, I don't know if it was Pete Boone or if it was one of his guys, like somebody literally shoves a paper in front of you and says, you pick the next mascot for an SEC institution.
Yeah.
What are you thinking in that moment?
Well, I mean, I didn't think much of it. I just knew I didn't like the choices.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm kind of a laid-back kind of guy, Sudu.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to stuff like that, and I know you think that that's really a big deal.
Yeah.
But I didn't look at it like that. I just wanted what was best for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I thought the choices sucked.
Yeah. No, they did. They definitely sucked. And
but you know, before that, I will tell you this on a more serious note.
Yeah.
I stuck my neck out. I don't know, basically for Billy Brewer about 5 years into his tenure.
Yeah.
And I wrote a story about how I thought the Confederate flag needed to go.
Yeah.
And it cost us a lot of subscribers.
Yeah.
Probably 500 or 600 subscribers.
Wow.
Canceled, and that was a big hit on us.
Right.
But then, 5 years later, Tommy Tuberville and Pete Boone said the flag's got to go.
Yeah.
and they get all the credit, and I got all the canceled subscriptions.
I mean, I'm sure at the time I'm sure they caught a little flack too for it.
Oh
right?
yeah,
but,
they did. They did.
But that was, I mean, was that? Did Billy kind of come to you to express that to you? Like, hey, this is something that has to go?
Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, he just kept saying, man, we just can't keep fighting this battle in recruiting.
Yeah.
We're getting murdered.
Yeah.
Everybody had put away all those Confederate symbols, and we were the last to do it. And that made us the whipping boy nationally.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
Right. Right.
When you're trying to recruit kids that think it's a swastika.
Right. Of course. And then I kind of think the way they banned it is pretty genius. It was the sticks, right? You can't bring sticks into the stadium.
Stick.
Man, that really got them.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. Back to the mascot thing, I remember Jeff Robertson telling me the story, and Jeff telling me, like, we can't decide this. We're just a couple of guys. You got to let them vote or something, you know? But I felt I just
Jeff was real adamant about that. I really didn't say much. I just said I don't like either one of them.
Yeah.
And Jeff was adamant about, man, we got to let the fan base get in on this.
Yeah.
So he needs to take credit for that.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. I was, but I think to me it spoke volumes about how the university viewed you and the work you were doing and how much trust they had in you.
Yeah.
Which kind of also,
like you said earlier, they knew we had the pulse of the fans.
Right.
More so than the trust.
Sure.
Right. They knew we knew what was going on.
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to make this sound braggadocious, but I used to speak all over the place before football season to big crowds.
Yeah.
Jackson, Meridian, on the coast, Memphis, and they
before
knew,
the Rebel road trip, it was the Chuck Rounsaville road trip.
Exactly. Olive Branch, DeSoto, Tupelo. I mean, it was all over Mississippi, Natchez, Vicksburg.
Yeah.
I do 12 or 15 of those every year.
Now, were you getting paid for these?
No, but I was getting, subscribers.
So in a way you were.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It was a marketing tool.
Yeah.
And, they'd pay for my gas.
Yeah, that counts.
And feed me and give me a few beers.
Get a couple beers, man. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So along with the that trust, with that came the trust from the coaches at Ole Miss. You mentioned sticking your neck out for Billy Brewer. I'm sure you did the same for Tommy Tuberville. I know when I met you, I mean, you were playing golf with all the coaches all the time, and they were calling you for anything that they needed.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of those relationships. Let's kind of start with Houston Nutt. I mean, we've heard plenty of stories. David Cutcliffe, straight edge guy, nicest guy in the world.
I'd rather start with Tommy.
You want to start with Tommy?
Well, Billy was great to me. Okay, but I don't have any Billy Brewer stories per se.
Let's start with Tommy, man.
I've got a great story on Tommy.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay.
He's a controversial senator now.
Yeah. Probably going to be the governor of Alabama.
Governor of Alabama.
I called him skinny. I called him skinny because he was skinny.
Yeah.
And I remember the game where we went down 1 point and then went for the 2-point conversion to win it?
Yeah.
Over in Starkville?
Yeah.
I won't name his name, but he had a friend that was on the sideline with him. Okay. And his friend was in the early stages of Parkinson's disease. So he had a little bit of shake, but not bad.
Yeah.
So it's a timeout. And Tommy walks down to this guy and he says, "What play should I call?" and I'm telling you, I believe this guy peed all over himself. "What do you mean? What play should I go? What I call? You go call a play." And and I'm standing right there, and it freaked him out. And Tommy looked at me and winked. They already had the play call.
Sure.
Yeah. And he said, "I've heard he sits over here and criticizes us, so I just wanted to see what he would say."
Man, that's funny.
Tommy was the first guy to me after Billy.
Yeah. That
really showed us that we could do some good things here.
Sure.
After we got off all those probations.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Now, Billy did some great things too.
Absolutely.
But I think Tommy is the one that really gave the fan base confidence.
Yeah. No, I mean, certainly. And I mean, you had a close relationship with him. What did you make of the whole Pine Box comment and the way that he left?
Bad. But I don't know that there was a good way for him to leave.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I hated that he said that, and I hated that's what his legacy is here. But at the same time, I don't think there was anything he could say that would appease anybody for him leaving.
Yeah.
Kind of like Lane.
I was going to ask you the parallels between Tommy and Lane.
Similar.
But
people have hurt feelings about Lane leaving.
But do you see differences at the same time? Like, did Tommy, because I obviously wasn't around when Tommy Tuberville left Ole Miss, but was it a Tommy's burning it to the ground on the way out the way it felt like Lane did, or is that the difference maybe between the two? How did you see that?
No, not really. It's just a lot of hurt feelings both ways. I mean, with Tommy and because we thought we had a great thing here with Tommy, and we were just fixing on the cusp of having a really good team. I mean, David Cutcliffe's first team was really good. Yeah. They lost a couple of games that they shouldn't have, or they'd have been, top 10.
Sure. So was it really just about facilities then for him? Is that because I know that's what we hear? Is like Tommy left because Auburn said they'd build better facilities.
That was part of it. Yeah. We were slow to come in that dance.
Yeah.
And I think that I give Tommy credit for motivating us to build them.
Yeah.
Because Chancellor Kayat, I wrote a column one time, Sudu.
Yeah.
That Mississippi State had better facilities than us.
Were you just trying to stir the pot a little bit and get them going?
Yeah. And I'm telling you, Robert Kayat came to my office. I've never seen a madder human being in my life. And I just sat there in my chair and took it. He said some choice words to me. And then I went out to practice that day, and he came out there and started yelling at me. And I said, Robert, look, you and I go back a long way.
Yeah.
I said, if you want to come into my office and yell at me, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do it out here in public. I'm not going to take it.
You told the sitting chancellor of the University of Mississippi.
I said, I'm not going to take it out here.
Yeah.
And I turned around and walked away from him. He tried to catch up with me. I said, no, I'm not going to take it out here.
Man.
Now, if you want to come to my office and yell at me, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But, I said, I'm a grown man, and you're not going to, and I said, and I'm going to tell you something. If you think I'm wrong, go over to Starkville and look at their facilities.
Yeah.
Go on over there. And, oh, man, that made him so mad.
That got him going.
Ooh.
What's the biggest, ass chewing you've gotten in all these years? Whether was it, I know there were some moments with Hugh Freeze, not necessarily with you, but with our good friend Ben Garrett. But you personally, who yelled at you the worst, do you think?
I don't know. I've taken a few.
Yeah.
It's part of the gig.
You got top 2, top 3 that you remember?
Probably that with Robert was number one.
Yeah.
That was number one. And he didn't speak to me for a long time, but then finally he warmed up after about 3 or 4 years.
It took 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That didn't sit well with him.
Wow.
Billy gave me a couple of tongue lashings, but they weren't terrible.
Yeah.
Red Parker,
okay,
his offensive coordinator, got me one day real good.
Yeah.
I thought Red was a guy that called all the plays.
Yeah.
He wanted no input from anybody. He was going to run his offense, and the assistants did nothing but just coach their little position.
Sure.
They had no input on what the play was going to be called or anything. Well, I thought it was appropriate to say that Red was a dictator of the offense.
Yeah.
Well, hell, he thought I was calling him Hitler. I mean, and he didn't like that at all. He said, dictator. I'm no dictator. I said, well, I didn't mean it bad, Red. He said, bullshit. I know what you meant. You meant I'm Hitler. I said, no, not really. But so I took a little tongue lashing there, and I never had anything with David Cutcliffe or Houston Nutt or Hugh Freeze, really. Oh, John Lovett, defensive back coach for Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah.
Seneca Taylor, you know who Seneca Taylor is. In practice, he caught a pass in the corner of the practice field, and there was some asphalt there.
Yeah.
And he started sliding on that asphalt and dislocated his foot.
Oh, goodness.
The week of the Arkansas game. And he was going to be a big part of the game. I mean, he was a great athlete.
Right.
And Tommy came running over there, and I was already there, and his foot's hanging like this.
Oh.
And I said, Tommy, what should I do? He said, oh, what do you mean? He said, you got to tell people. I mean, just tell them. Well, hell, I went back to my house and put it on the internet. I said, Senator Taylor dislocated his foot today in practice.
Yeah.
Well, John Lovett called me. Oh, he cussed me because that was his guy.
Of course.
What are you doing? I said, why don't you talk to your boss? Yeah. He's the one that told me. I don't give a god what he told you. Yeah. He said, you stupid son of a bitch. And I just kind of did like this. And my wife said, what are you doing? I said, I'm taking an ass chewing.
So it was a part of the job. I mean, you were just used to it. You didn't care.
No. Well, I cared, but.
I mean, you weren't taking it personally. It sounds like.
No.
Maybe the Kayat one.
No. Billy had a defensive end coach named S.E. Sullins.
Okay.
And I can't even remember what I wrote, but it wasn't anything.
Yeah.
Well, S.E. liked the bottle a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And one night he read one of my articles, and he said, oh, hang on.
You good?
He said, boy, next time you see me, you better walk a wide path around me. He said, because I'm going to whip your ass. I said, oh, my God. So I didn't think anything. I hung up. So
you better walk a wide path around me is incredible, by the way. I gotta save that one, man. Yeah. That's a good one.
So the next morning I got up and I went straight to his office. I said, man, SC, what's going on? Yeah. He said, what are you talking about?
Oh, man.
I said, you called me last night and threatened me.
Yeah.
I said, what's the big deal? I didn't call you. He had that much to drink.
Had a few drinks.
Yeah.
Had a few drinks. Was David Cutcliffe as nice as everyone says he is?
Yeah, David's a great guy. He's a prince of a fella.
Yeah.
Treated me well, treated everybody well.
Yeah.
You know, he was a very fair-minded guy.
Sure.
And, I thought did a really good job here until, not because Eli graduated, but because I thought he made 2 or 3 very questionable assistant hires.
Okay.
And I think that really cost him when he lost the guys that he was winning with.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to keep them. They went on to bigger things. Some of them went into the pros. Ron Middleton, Marion Hobby. And he didn't replace them with like-level coaches.
Sure.
And I think that was his undoing.
Yeah.
But I think he would have righted things. But Pete Boone was hard on him when he had that bad season after Eli.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. It just didn't work out.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, everybody speaks about him in the highest, with the most respect.
Great kid, great guy. And his son, Chris. Hell of a kid.
Chris was my Algebra 2 teacher in high school. So I have nothing but nice things to say about Chris Cutcliffe and the job he's done at Oxford High as well as the coach there.
Chris is a great guy.
Tremendous job.
I'll tell you kind of a funny story with Cut.
Yeah.
I asked David, I said, David, could I be on the headphones for like a half of a nothing game?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, we're going to play Murray State. And the opener said, just get on the headphones. Well, Don Lindsay was his new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And Don was kind of a strange guy, but he was a nice guy. I liked Don. And the first play, Joe Panunzio, that had been here with Tommy Tuberville, was then the head coach at Murray State. Mm-hmm. And on the very first play of the game, they threw some kind of trick play and went 76 yards. And I'm on the headphones, and Lindsay's saying, crap through a goose, crap through a goose. We look like crap through a goose.
What does that even mean, Chuck?
That means they were running through him like crap through a goose.
All right. Like, what does that mean?
Went like 76 yards for a touchdown. And, he just could get crap through a goose, crap through a goose. And I'm laughing, and Cut's looking at me like, we're down 7-0, and you're down here laughing on your knees laughing.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't. We went on and won like 45-7.
Of course. Yeah.
But that was a great story.
So you mentioned how you looked up to Archie Manning. That's who you wanted to be.
Yeah.
I think there was always an assumption that any Manning kid would be coming to Ole Miss just because of the giant legacy that that name Manning carries in this town and for this university. Yeah. Cooper obviously came. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
Peyton, it was always kind of expected would be next.
Yeah.
What do you remember about Peyton Manning's commitment and when he went to Tennessee and just the pulse? We talk about you knowing the pulse of the fan base. Explain that to me and maybe even how Archie felt. I don't know how many conversations you had with him about that, but in that time.
Archie was, he backed his son 100%.
Yeah.
Never any question about that. And they took a lot of criticism from a lot of Ole Miss people. It was hurtful. It really was to the Ole Miss fan base. But time heals all wounds.
Sure.
And once they realized that Peyton would have come here if Cooper was playing.
Right.
But when Cooper couldn't play, and then they got word, listen, the Mannings are wired in. They know everything that's going on. And they had information that there was going to be a probation coming down.
Yeah.
And frankly, David Cutcliffe did a great selling job when he was offensive coordinator for Peyton about quarterback development. And so there were a lot of factors.
Yeah.
But that didn't help the feelings of the Ole Miss fan base. I'd say maybe half understood a little bit.
Yeah.
Half of them didn't understand at all.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to heal a lot of that.
Yeah.
It really did. And in fact, some people didn't get healed until Eli came here.
Right.
How
much was Eli's impending graduation from high school motivation to bring David Cutcliffe here?
A lot.
Yeah.
Because John Schaefer was the AD at that time, and John was trying to bring in Mike Cavan. Mm-hmm. Cavan was in somewhere, SMU maybe.
Yeah.
And the fan base revolted on that. I mean, they said, that ain't happening. And Archie called John Schaefer and said, look, I think Eli will come there if you get David Cutcliffe.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a no-brainer.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you'd like to think that no one player is worth the head coach.
Sure.
But in that case, he was.
Yeah. No doubt. How close was Eli? Because people talk about Virginia. People talk about other schools that Eli was interested in at the time. Once you got Cutcliffe, was there ever
I think it was over.
It was a done deal.
Done deal.
Yeah.
And I don't think Archie would have been as adamant recommending Cut if Eli hadn't come to him and said, Dad, if Cut goes there. And Peyton said, I want Eli playing for Cut.
Yeah.
100%. And that was a marriage made in heaven.
What was that time like in Oxford? We talk about what Oxford and Ole Miss is today. I mean, I'm coming in from Atlanta, and I feel like every time I come in, however many weeks or months, there's something new. There's something developing in this town. And Ole Miss football drives a lot of that. We've seen that with the Kiffin era. But the Eli era is kind of credited as the big boom for this town to even get to where it has. What do you remember about that time?
That's exactly what I remember. That was the first catapult of us progressing as a town.
Yeah.
Business-wise, condos going up everywhere, housing, the price of everything going up, us becoming a great retirement community with a new hospital. I mean, everything piggybacked off of Eli.
Yeah.
And I know that's a big statement.
Yeah.
But Eli Manning did a lot for this town.
Yeah.
No question about it.
I remember, in the Grove, I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly who it was, but just a conversation a couple years ago at a game I was at about how, somebody's kids graduated around that time, and it was like, well, we got to have a condo here if we're going to come watch Eli play,
Well,
we're going to come back and watch Ole Miss regularly now, so we got to get a condo, and we got to have this, and that in itself just brought all this business into town. And
no question.
It's, people ask me oftentimes about the Manning legacy in Oxford, and, oh, you're from Oxford, you went to Ole Miss, man. Are the Mannings really that big? And I go, the biggest.
Yeah.
I go, there isn't a bigger name in this town.
Well, they're
the
the first family of football for the whole United States.
Yeah.
There's not a football fan in America that doesn't know who the Mannings are.
No doubt.
I mean, do you know any other family like that?
Very few, man.
I mean, really, name one.
The Kelsey brothers, I guess, would be the next this generation.
Yeah, tight end and a lineman. Jesus Christ, come on, Sudu.
That's fair. I'm just trying to be fair, Chuck. I'm trying to be fair.
We're talking about 3 quarterbacks here.
No, you're right.
All pro.
You're right.
Yeah. MVPs, Super Bowl champions.
You talk to Tennessee fans. I mean, T. Martin won him the Natty, but
Peyton's
their guy.
Yeah.
Well,
he was the one that got it rolling.
Right.
you know, and just like Eli got it rolling, and you know, they're. I mean, look at their commercial success now,
right?
And they've been out of football for what? Peyton's been out 10 years or what?
Yeah.
I mean, they're making so much money, because they're so recognizable.
Absolutely,
you know,
that legacy certainly holds on.
Yeah.
So Cut leaves. This is really. I really want to talk about Ed Orgeron with you, because this was Chuck's like bad boy era. This is like you as the Undertaker.
Oh man.
So Ed O comes in, which I want to get to, but one of the aspects of the Ed O era was the Harley, right? Is that when that started?
What?
Did the Harley start with Ed O?
No.
Was that before Ed O?
Yeah.
So this was during Cutcliffe's era. You were doing the Harley.
Yeah. Eli's last year, I bought my Harley.
That's when you bought the Harley.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who don't know what I'm talking about, so there was a time that Ole Miss would run out on the field, and this man was front and center on a Harley Davidson, rolling out on his motorcycle. And it's just like one of the more recognizable pictures of that early to mid-2000s that it's burned into my head.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I did not know that it was Chuck. So I just remember like, oh, there was a Harley Davidson at one point that would come out. And then when I finally met him, somebody told me, you realize that was Chuck, right? Tell me about that, man. Whose idea was it to bring people out on your Harley Davidson?
Well, there was a motorcycle build show, and I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
And Jay Stern, who was in marketing at that time, got that company to build a Ole Miss specific Harley.
Yeah.
Okay. And they sold chances, $100 chances, for a drawing. And they said, well, we got to market this thing somehow. And Jay told Pete, said, well, Chuck rides motorcycles. Get him to ride it out, you know, before the game and ride it around the field.
Sure.
So that's what we did.
And how long did that go on?
Not long. They sold out the chances in that year.
Okay, so it was that season.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that was during the Ed O years, man.
No.
It just feels like, you know, with the Hummer commercials, and it almost feels like it goes together. But Jay Stern, also another legend. He actually gave me my start at Ole Miss Athletics, and then ultimately Mike again came in and gave me more opportunities.
Yeah.
But that's another name that I respect a lot.
Yo.
Yo. Yeah. No doubt. All right, Ed O. David Cutcliffe leaves. Ed Orgeron comes in. Crazy era, man.
Yeah.
I remember all those like Coach O stickers around town, and just remember that era and the excitement. Oh, this guy, he's coming from USC. He's Pete Carroll's guy. We're going to be winning national championships. Didn't quite go that way.
No. Ed was too young.
Yeah.
Had too many Red Bulls and too much adrenaline.
Tell me about the coffee beans, though.
Oh, God. First time I met him, he was in the defensive staff room on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And I sneaked into the Manning Center, and I saw him in there. And me and him were the only ones in the whole Manning Center. It was dark, and he was watching USC versus Auburn from the year before, and USC had beaten them.
Yeah.
And Auburn was, like 12-1 or whatever. Right. And he's going, SEC. SEC. I knocked on the door. I said, hey, Coach, I just wanted to introduce myself. Well, flip on the light. I flipped on the light, and he's in a white T-shirt, and he's got stains coming down his T-shirt. I said, Coach, what in the world? I thought he was dipping tobacco.
Yeah.
He said, I ran out of Red Bull. He said, so I got some coffee grounds, and I stuck them in my jaw, and I'm getting my caffeine that way. I said, what have we got here? And, to be truthful about it, Ed and I never did see eye to eye, really.
Yeah.
And he was just, I don't know, he just did some things that I don't know. He was very hard on players, very, very hard on players. And like his first practice, he invited all the fans to come out to his first practice, okay?
Sure.
Well, some of them came out there in lawn chairs right on the sideline. I mean, 5 inches from the sideline.
Sure.
And they're doing a full scrimmage. Well, don't you think they were going to get plowed into? And one of them got hit in his chair and broke his leg.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm going, why? You know?
Yeah.
This is just silly.
That's incredible.
You know?
All right.
And so the game that got him fired.
Yeah.
He went for it on fourth down, as you well know.
Yep.
Against Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl in a game we were controlling.
Right.
And they didn't make the fourth down. But anyway, as soon as he decided to go for the fourth down, I'm standing on one end of the sideline with my camera. And I won't say which assistant coach, but one of the assistant coaches starts sprinting toward me.
Yeah.
And I think, damn, he's fixing to hit me. He takes his headset off, slams him on the ground. He said, that son of a bitch just got us fired. And sure enough, they stuffed us and went on and beat us.
Yeah. Was that so? One of my favorite stories you've ever told me about Ed O. The snakes in my head, man. You got to tell me the snakes in my head. Was it that game?
That game. There in the Mississippi State field house, there's the media area, and then there's a real narrow hall that went to where the coaches were dressing.
Yeah.
This way the players were dressing, but down this narrow hall. And as we got through with his press conference, and I mean, he didn't even like me.
Yeah.
And I didn't like him.
Yeah.
And we both knew it. Well, I'm standing right by that door. He grabs my arm. He said, Chuck, come with me. And we go in this narrow. He's wide. He's almost as wide as the hallway.
Of course.
And he's saying, did I just get fired? I said, yeah, probably. He said, I got snakes in my head. And I'm thinking, this dude may try to kill me in here. First of all, he doesn't like me. Right. Second of all, he's getting fired tomorrow, and he knows it.
Yeah.
I said, I got to get out of this hall somewhat. And finally, he just stopped and got dressed, and I got out of the hall without getting killed.
And that was it.
Yeah, that's it.
Did you ever speak to him again?
Yeah. After he got fired, I called him that day. I said, man, I'm sorry, you doing all right? And he said, man, this ain't the first time I've been fired. But, you know, here, I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
In the times I've seen him since then,
yeah.
And I know this sounds terrible to say this about a 60-year-old man, but he's matured.
Yeah.
He's mellowed.
Sure.
He's calmed down a lot. And I think he did a good job at LSU.
Yeah.
And he won a national championship.
Damn right, he won a natty.
And, you know, I've talked to him a couple of times since then, since he got fired there, and he's a normal person now. He wasn't normal when he was here. I'm just telling you.
All right, a little change of scenery. We were very smart in doing this episode outside in August in Mississippi.
Yeah, 100 degrees.
Just very smart guys here. But so we kind of mentioned the Ed O years. Houston Nutt comes in, and you were pretty close to a Nutt, right, compared to the way it was with Ed O.
Yeah. I liked Houston. Houston's a old country boy, and you know, he and I got real close. But he took Ed's talent that Ed recruited and did a really good job the first 2 years. Won 2 Cotton Bowls back to back, and I thought we were rolling. And I look up, and they let go of the rope in recruiting. Yeah. And their last 2 years were pretty painful.
Yeah.
And I think what happened with Houston was he was so used to Arkansas being able to just snap his fingers and sign anybody in Arkansas.
Sure.
That they didn't really recruit year round.
Right.
You know, they didn't really bust it.
Right.
Or it didn't seem to. I mean, he might tell you a different story, but whatever happened, they didn't get the players in here.
Right.
After Ed's guys kind of graduated and everything.
Sure.
So tough years, and then they brought in, Hugh Freeze.
Before Freeze, Ben and I and tons of Ole Miss fans from that era, we always talk about that 08 team and how special that team was.
Yeah.
And I look back at all the teams Ole Miss has had talent-wise, and I can't name another team as talented as 2008 at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, all the guys on defense that went on to play in the pros or got a cup of coffee in the league, all the guys on offense. I mean, Jevin Sneed, God rest his soul, one of the greatest, seasons for a quarterback for Ole Miss. And it just felt like they lost 4 games that they should have won.
Yeah.
And that they should have been at least in Atlanta at the SEC championship game. You've seen a lot of Ole Miss football teams.
Yeah.
Where's that 08 team rank to you?
Very high, very high. They were good. And the 09 team, too.
Yeah.
You know, went over and beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech was, what, third in the nation?
Yeah.
Just two good teams, real good teams.
Yeah.
Felt like every Saturday we were going to win.
I know.
You know, and we didn't, but they had the talent to.
Yeah.
And I credit Ed with that.
Yeah.
Ed brought in some good football players, but bless his heart, he just beat them down. He just beat them down.
I mean, what was the game? Was it Wake Forest or Wyoming?
Yeah,
what was the game that he?
Well, it had the lightning storm, and he took them in the indoor practice facility and had a full scale, full contact, quarter and a half scrimmage. Well, they came out of there and go out on the field, and they can't even walk. I mean, you know, they get beat 20-0, I think was the score.
Yeah, that was a brutal one.
Anyway,
funny enough, that was a game that I was supposed to go to. And then my parents shut it down because of the lightning. And I remember crying and crying and crying about it. And ultimately, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't matter because I would have cried either way.
I'm glad you weren't there.
Yeah. So that one cracked me up. I think, yeah, I'll be right there. So with Edo, you had the problem of great recruiter, couldn't quite. The coaching wasn't well, although his defense was pretty good, which is what he was known for.
Yeah.
But just wasn't quite there offensively. Houston Nutt, maybe not as great of a recruiter as Edo. Then comes in Hugh Freeze, and you saw a little bit of both now.
Yeah.
You got a great recruiter, and you got I mean, when he was at his peak, he was one of the best offensive minds in the conference.
Yeah.
And I know you're still friends with Hugh to this day.
Yeah, sure.
What kind of set Hugh apart, especially in those early years? And then I want to get to what you think. We all know about the cell phones and the NCAA and all that, but
yeah, I don't really want to talk a whole lot about that.
No, that's fine. But I think more. My question is more of not that, but what do you think ultimately led to some of the drop off on the field? Not even what got him to go, but the early portion. But then what kind of led to his final season where they were just blowing leads left and right.
Yeah.
And nothing seemed to click for a team that was so talented.
Well, you know, again, it was one of those deals where everything had been flying along real nice, and Sugar Bowl and good times, and you can't let up.
Yeah.
You can't let up in the SEC. And I'm not saying they didn't work hard, but I don't think they worked as hard.
Yeah.
I thought they got a little big-headed, and I'm not talking about just Hugh. I'm talking about the whole staff.
Sure.
You know, hey, we just won the Sugar Bowl. We can do this and we can do that, and you know, you can't let go of the rope in the SEC.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
If you do, and that's an old Houston Nutt saying, don't let go of the rope.
Yeah.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, you let go of the rope, and he let go of the rope. Houston Nutt let go of the rope.
Sure.
I'll give you for instance, 2009, I think, maybe it's 2000, I can't remember, 8 or 9, we were good.
I could you maybe move the mic a little, Club? I'm just thinking about it. Just move, get the whole, that's much better.
So we go over to Starkville to play in the Egg Bowl, and all that week I'm saying, hey, Houston, they're different. They're a different animal in Starkville. We beat them 45-0 last year. You remember that massacre?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. He said, I never lost to them the whole time I was at Arkansas. He said, get away from me. I don't want you telling me. I said, they're a different animal in Starkville. You better listen to me. Sure enough, we go over, and I think it was Mullen's first year, Dan Mullen's first year.
Was that the Chris Relf game?
Yeah.
When he came in because the other guy got hurt?
Chris Relf and Anthony Davis, they ran a little veer that we never adjusted to for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I remember that.
And beat us like 41-27.
Yeah.
And he looks at me after the game. He said, well, they are a different animal over there. I mean, you know, I was going, they are.
Well, you know, at least you didn't get the Neil McCready treatment there with the what was it? It wasn't 41-3, wasn't Neil or whatever he said after that Arkansas game. Oh man. Yeah, it got pretty bad there at the end of the Nutt era, which was nuts. But, you know, with Freeze, I mean, those early years were fun, man. I remember going on road trips with you and Ben, and just it was incredible. And then you get those guys like Shea Pattersons of the world, and you're thinking this is going to roll forever. But then it sort of it died. And, of course, NCAA did their best to kill it as best as they could.
Yeah.
Eventually, you get through all that. You get Lane Kiffin. And I know at that point the business had pretty much changed for you.
Yeah.
It wasn't what it used to be as far as the Spirit's maybe even importance through the athletics department. You had so much turnover, different people coming in.
Right.
And it seemed like Lane was one of those coaches that maybe didn't want to endear himself to some of the local media the way some of the other coaches would have. Other coaches felt like they always had a guy.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that was you.
Right.
Or that was Ben or someone on your team. And even Neil. I'll give Neil credit. I mean, he's, but with Lane, it seemed like Lane didn't want to be close to anybody in the media. How would you categorize Lane's years?
He would cater to the national guys.
Yeah.
But the local guys, he just mumbled at us.
Yeah.
Listen, Lane Kiffin came in here and won a lot of games.
Sure.
I'll never take that away from him.
Yeah.
But as far as being a media darling or I mean, he was a social media darling because he was always on Twitter or X, cutting somebody down, trolling somebody.
Sure.
And but he was never a media darling.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he was winning.
He won though.
Yeah.
He won.
So I don't have any issues with Lane other than the fact that the whole time he was here, he didn't want to be here.
Right.
And if he says any different, he's a liar because he tried the first year. He tried to get the LSU job. Then he tried to get the Auburn job. Yeah. And then he finally left.
I mean, tried to get the Florida job too.
Florida job.
Yeah.
So all this baloney about I needed Ole Miss more than Ole Miss needed me. That's such bullshit.
Yeah.
He didn't care about Ole Miss.
Yeah. I don't think he needed Ole Miss. Ole Miss certainly needed him and we obviously appreciate
Hey,
the
man,
years.
I'll take those wins. I'll take those wins.
No doubt about it.
And I had a pretty, I'm not going to tell you who, but I had a pretty famous coach tell me, I said, what about this Kiffin guy? This was right before we hired him, but I knew we were going to hire him. He said, I'm just going to tell you the truth. He said, he's the best I've ever seen on Saturday and the worst I've ever seen from Sunday to Friday.
I don't think a lot of people would disagree with you. Yeah. I think a lot of people in the know would certainly agree.
I mean, he wasn't a recruiter.
Yeah.
He hired guys that recruited.
Sure.
And let me tell you something now. Don't kid yourself. Lane Kiffin benefited greatly from the free transfer rule and the NIL.
Of course.
And, you can thank William Liston down in Jackson that started the Grove Collective.
Yeah.
That the first year you could buy players, we had the money to buy them.
Yeah.
And that bailed Lane's poor recruiting out.
Sure.
Yeah. When you can just purchase a player, that ain't recruiting.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Of course. And now he's got the biggest purse in the land in Baton Rouge.
But he did coach them.
He did.
And they did like him.
Right.
The players liked playing for Lane. He wasn't a hard coach to play for.
Sure.
And mid-game adjustments, very good.
Great job at those,
Very
too.
good.
Yeah. I think, that's a theme I find with the Saban tree guys. Not all of them can do it as well, but covered Kirby extensively. Same thing at Georgia. I mean, those adjustments they make and the way they do it. Like when they're in that locker room for halftime, all the plays are cut up. Everything's ready to go. There's it's like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
What position group are you in? What do you need to adjust? It's good to go. And I have a feeling that has to do with coming from the Saban tree. There's no way it doesn't.
Well, let me tell you something about Lane, though. He was very good at I've had a couple of receivers and a quarterback tell me this, said he would come over to them when the defense was out there and say, look, we're going to call this play here, but you do this instead of what we draw up, and quarterback, you do this.
Yeah.
And don't tell anybody else.
Yeah.
You're going to do this, and you're going to do this. And they said invariably it'd be wide open.
Wow.
Yeah. And they just,
I think it'd be foolish to say that he's not a good coach.
Yeah.
He's one of the best offensive minds and quarterback developers that I've ever seen in the sport.
Yeah.
One of. I'm not saying he is the best, but one of for sure. He's done it everywhere he's been, including Ole Miss. And I don't doubt that he'll make LSU good.
I think he gets a little too much credit about being a quarterback developer.
Okay.
But he's certainly an offensive mind that's as good as any. Joe Judge has done a tremendous job with our quarterbacks.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I think that gets lost. And I was going to say, one of the biggest things about Lane leaving, obviously keeping Pete was a big deal. But I look back at the Joe Judge retention, and I go, that's a big deal because you just hear how glowingly Trinidad Chambliss talks about him, and and I'm a Giants fan. I when Ole Miss brought Joe Judge on their staff initially as an analyst, I was like, what the hell are we doing? This guy's a bum. He's terrible. Whatever. He's grown on me exponentially throughout his time.
Interview him sometime. He's sharp now.
He seems like it. I just remember him in the Trinidad case in that courtroom and just how sharp he was. And I was like, this is a different Joe Judge than what I remember as the Giants coach.
I'm real nervous about him being the next Mississippi State coach, too.
Yeah, that worries me, too. That worries me, too.
And you can't blame him. Isn't that his alma mater?
That's his alma mater.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
no doubt.
But he loves where he is. I promise you that.
Yeah. Another Delta State guy, Pete Golding.
Yeah.
Head coach.
He's ready. I'm just telling you, he's ready.
Yeah.
He's ready. He's been taking his notes, learning from Saban, learning from Kiffin, learning from Ron Roberts, who was his defensive mentor. He's a sponge.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you listen to his interviews, he's sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
And I've got great faith in this guy.
Yeah.
And a recruiting machine.
Absolutely.
A machine.
Well, we're finally seeing some of that high school recruiting that we were told was irrelevant and doesn't really matter in this modern era of college football come back.
Yeah.
And as once again, as somebody who covered UGA, I know it still matters.
Yeah.
It's still a big deal to bring in your own guys and develop them.
Yeah.
And so that's been, I think, the biggest thing. You mentioned it, just watching from afar and covering this team from afar, seeing the high school guys that Ole Miss isn't in it for even, and the ones that they've gotten. I'm like, this is not how it was.
Right.
We were all about the portal with Lane Kiffin, but now you're seeing that come back.
Right. And the portal's still going to be important with Pete.
No doubt.
But he understands that these 4- and 5-year players, they're your foundation.
They're the backbone.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You take Cam Franklin and Suntarine Perkins and guys like that, Will Eccles, and guys that are rebels.
Sure.
They're rebels. They're not buzzards coming from somewhere to be rebels.
Right.
They're born rebels.
Sure. Yeah.
And it makes a difference.
No doubt. I don't disagree there at all. Before we wrap up, you've covered a lot of recruiting. Obviously, we brought up Yancey Porter. That was kind of his beat. But you've been involved in a lot of those conversations, flips, whatever. Who is one player that Ole Miss, an elite player that Ole Miss was supposed to get that because of a last-second incident they didn't? I know the Joe Knight story is a really famous one.
Yeah.
Is there one that maybe still kind of stings you a little bit of like, man?
There's only one, Peyton Manning. Because we thought we were going to get him.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a little story about that. Because of my relationship with Archie, I said, Archie, the night before he announced, I said, Archie, would you get Peyton to call me when he makes his decision? And I'm in this house right here. 6 o'clock in the morning, bring, pick up the phone. He's, Chuck, this is Peyton Manning. I just talked to Coach Fulmer. He said, I'm going to Tennessee. And, buddy, my heart sunk to my stomach.
Yeah.
I said, oh, my God, this is going to be bad. I said, good luck, son. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I think I was the second person he called.
Wow. Wow. That's an incredible story.
I'll tell you another pretty funny story if you want one.
Absolutely. I'll take any of them.
I went to Alabama Ole Miss basketball game the year that Bear Bryant retired.
Yeah.
And his office was in their Coliseum. So I said, well, hell, I'm here 2 hours early. I'll just go in there and interview Bear Bryant.
Yeah.
So I'll go down there, and his longtime secretary, I don't even know her name, Marge or something, sitting there, and she's smoking a cigarette, and the whole room's full of smoke. He's smoking, she's smoking, and I can't see him back in his office. And I said, I'd like to interview Coach Bryant. I'm real young, and she just started laughing. She said, who are you? She said, get out of here. You ain't getting caught. That's Bear Bryant in there. You're not interviewing him.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So I turn around to walk out with my tail between my legs. All of a sudden, this booming voice comes out of this other office, said, I think she said Marge or Maggie or something, said, Marge, that son of a bitch is that stupid. Just let him on back here.
That's Bear Bryant.
Bear Bryant.
And you talked to him.
And I talked to him for about 2 hours.
Wow.
And he was just the best.
Yeah.
Just the best.
Wow.
Told me anything I wanted to know.
That's incredible.
You know.
And you don't get that anymore.
No.
And you don't get guys like Chuck Rounsaville anymore, man. This guy, absolute legend. He gave so many of us our starts in the business, including myself and countless others, including Ben Garrett at the Ole Miss Spirit, which he now kind of spearheads. You're still there. You're still on the message boards.
Yeah, but I'm just a bit player now.
Hey, that's okay, man. You did your time.
Yeah,
you did your time, and you ran one hell of a publication. At the peak of the Ole Miss Spirit, what was the most amount of subscribers you had?
Right at 6,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
right
incredible.
At 6,000.
Is that website or magazine?
That's magazine.
What about website included?
I don't know. To be honest with you, a little over 5, I think.
Okay.
'Cause I had an older clientele.
Yeah.
And a lot of them died off, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That were with me back in 1982 that,
Sure.
you know, are no longer here.
Right. No doubt about it.
I'm just grateful I am.
Hey, listen, he's still here. He's still healthy. He's kicking. Thank you so much for letting me here, man, and telling all these incredible stories. I've been wanting to do this for like a while. I'm like, I just, from time to time, just think of so many stories you've told me like throughout the years, especially when I was in college, that would come up. And it's some we can't even talk about here. You told me about a story about an Alabama bar one time. I won't go into details about it, but so many incredible stories. And this guy, not only did he cover Ole Miss for all these years, but you've shaped a lot of what this university is. And so I feel like that needed to be recognized. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you have in mind?
No, we about covered pretty thorough.
We got everything.
And I just want to thank you and
of course, man.
Tell you how proud I am of you that, you know, that you came up through the ranks and you're a good one. You're a good one.
I appreciate it, Chuck. Ole Miss Spirit, always a part of my legacy as well, always a part of the journey. And you can always follow Chuck Rounsaville, Spirit Chuck, I believe, on all social media platforms. Is that right?
Yeah.
He's still tweeting about Ole Miss, still posting on the Ole Miss Spirit message boards. Make sure you guys check out Mudcat Media as a part of our network here on Game Runs Deep. And subscribe if you like our stuff. That's the best way to support. Subscribe and leave a comment. And I know we're going to be collaborating with our Talk of Champions listeners who are going to love this episode. So make sure y'all subscribe to Game Runs Deep as well. Got to tell you, make sure you check out clubcountrygolf.com. Brought Chuck a couple pieces of clothing here today that I'm going to have to send you some more when I get back to Atlanta. But make sure you check out Club Country Golf. Some incredible golf apparel with an outdoorsman in mind. For those of you interested, for Chuck, I'm Sudu. We'll see you again for another episode.